Why would anybody fly Space A? Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and this is the first installment of a series of videos I'm going to be doing about flying Space Available, or Space A. In a nutshell, the military is flying aircraft all over the world all the time, and when they have unused passenger space, military members and their dependents can sign up to ride in those seats at a tiny fee that basically covers your meal. Now, some of you are probably thinking, oh God, here is Chuck going down some additional rabbit hole. But I argue that Space A is a classic bureaucratic scenario. You got a resource, the empty seats that people are willing to compete for. And so there have to be a bunch of rules that justify who gets those seats and under what conditions. And understanding that system empowers you to navigate it more effectively. And then, I just like traveling Space A, and you'll see why in a second. But before I get into all the detailed tactics, techniques, and procedures that you might want to consider, I want to start by answering the question, why would anyone travel Space A in the first place? I mean, as we travel further and further into this series, I'm going to share some personal stories that might just curl your toes. So first of all, let's address the obvious. Space A is cheap. You can travel internationally, usually at a lower cost than a domestic road trip. And that lower cost is usually what attracts people to Space A in the first place. But let me warn you, if the only reason you're traveling Space A is because of the savings, you might want to reconsider. And you'll see why as I tick down some of these other things that can be benefits of Space A. One of the reasons my wife likes Space A is just because of the adventure of it. You don't really know where you're going, or when you'll get there, or what you'll see while you're there, or what you'll end up doing. Because Space A is based on availability, there's no guarantee that you're going to get to go where you want to go, when you want to go. That means you have to base your entire plan on flexibility, and you have to take the adventure as it comes. Honestly, that degree of flexibility scares the hell out of me. But it leads to one of the two reasons that I like Space A. Number one, I like the cred. I mean, there's lots of steely-eyed operators who would think nothing about leading a squad of soldiers into the jaws of combat. But the idea of being alone in a foreign country with just their family, that's not for them. So when I describe some of the adventures that I have, I kind of like the credibility that comes with it. The other reason that I like Space A is because it keeps me mentally engaged. Anytime I'm on a cruise or an all-inclusive resort or some kind of chartered tour, I start to get bored. I start looking for things to do. But traveling Space A, it keeps me engaged, planning, plotting, researching, and looking ahead. Now, my wife and I both traveled Space A before we met, but afterwards, we traveled a number of times as a family, and it's also interesting what my kids liked about Space A. One of them said that it helps build resiliency because there's lots of situations where the family has to react as a team, and the kids can't help but learn how mom and dad deal with situations like that. Plus, being someplace where the only people you know are your family members, well, it draws you together whether you like it or not. Another one of my kids commented on the sense of community that comes through traveling Space A. Of course, all the other passengers have some connection to the military, and so your kids get an exposure to that camaraderie that's common of people in uniform. So, if you're looking for an adventure that's a little more demanding than your usual, and that pulls you together as a family while you spend time with other military service members, come with me on a Space A trip.